Hi guys, in this lecture you will be learning the CSS3 2D transform. So what is the 2D transform? In the simple words, what is the transform is the property through which you can change the shape, size and position of an element. So that is called the transform, and 2D is called the two-dimensional. You can change the position, size and shape of any element in 2 dimensions. So here, to see the effect of the transform, we have to apply the transition, so you can see the effect of transform clearly. Without the transition you cannot see the effect of transform. So now here I'm gonna apply the hover over the div, and in between this we have to define the properties for the transform. First of all, write the transform, and then we have to write the functions. But before this, here I'm gonna write provide the transition on the transform. Here is all properties and here is the 1 second delay, and here is the linear timing function. And now here, first function in the transform is translate. So what is the function of the translate? The translate function move an element from the current position to the given position according to the given parameter. So here we have to provide a parameter. First of all, we will move this div on the x-axis, so that's why here I have write the x. So here I'm gonna give 20 pixel in the x-axis. So now this div will move 20 pixel in the x-axis. Here we have to write hover, and now let's check it. So now here you can see that div is moved 20 pixel in the x-axis. So if we write y-axis, so now it is moving 20 pixel in the y-axis. And you can also give both values in the same function. What you need to do, just write translate and 20 pixel for the x and 20 pixel for the y-axis. And here is it's moving. And here I'm going to write 0.3 second. So now it is fast. The transition is now is become fast. And the next function is rotate. You can also give the rotate. So what is the function of the rotate? In the rotate you can move any element in the clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. What you need to do, you just need to give the angle. Here I'm gonna give 20 degree. So now it is moving 20 degree. Here it's moved 20 degree, and you can also give different angles, minus 180. So now it's moved minus 180. Here you can see that. So in this way you can apply many functions. Now I am going to give another function, that is the scale. So what is the scale? The scale is a function in which we can increase width or height of the div along the x-axis and the y-axis. Here if we write x, so now here if we give 2, so now its width is become 2 times increase in the x-axis, or so now its width is increased 2 times. And if we write y, so now its height is increased. Here you can see that its height is increased 2 times. And you can also apply both things in the same function by only writing the scale. And here first is width and the second is the height. And the other function is skew. What is the skew? When we give the skew, so we can move an element along the x-axis or y-axis according to the given angle. So here write skew, and here if we write x, then here is the 20 degrees. So now element is moved in the x-axis 20 degree. If we write y, so now it's moving 20 degree in the y direction. And we can also give both angles. Here I'm gonna give 40 degree for the x-axis, 20 degree for the y-axis. So now it is moving. This is called a skew. So now I am going to teach you the 3D transform. So first of all, what is the 3D transform? I have already teach you the 2D transform, but in the 3D transform you can change the directions in the three-dimensionally. You can also say that you can change the position, size and shape in the z-axis. So first of all, let's start. Here I'm gonna remove this function and I'm gonna provide the rotate function. And in the rotate function you can also give the x-axis and you can give the degree. So now this div is gonna be rotate in the x-axis, but it is less. And you can also give the y. Here we have to write the uppercase x and y and z because the W3C recommended. The lowercase also works, but recommendation is important. And here I'm gonna provide more angle, 180 degree. So here you can see that it is rotating in the y axis. And you can also give the z. So now let's see what happened. So here it is moving in the z axis, that is also called the 3D axis. And you can also write all these three axes in the 3D function, rotate 3D function. And here what we need to do, first of all we need to write the value for the x-axis and then the value for the y-axis and then the value for the z-axis and then an angle of a movement. So now let's check it. So here you can see that it is rotating 2, 3 and 5. It is just the position in the x-axis, y and z-axis. And now I'm going to show you the translate z property. We have learned the translate x axis and translate y, but we have not learned the translate in the z axis. Here is the translate z. We have to provide 50 pixel. So now the div is moved 50 pixel in the z axis. Here let's render it, but here you cannot see the effect clearly. We have to provide the perspective property. What is the perspective property? Perspective property is used to view the 3D elements and the 3D effects. Here write perspective, and here in between this I'm gonna write 500 pixel. And now let's check it. So here you can see that this is translate the effect. And now I want to show you, you can also put all the x and y and z in the single property. Here write the translate 3D, and here for the x-axis 50 pixel, for the y-axis 10 pixel, and for the z-axis 20 pixel. And now let's check it. It is moving. And now I want to show you the scale property for the z-axis and the 3D axis. But for here I'm gonna write scale z 3. It is the value for the z-axis, then the div is placed. But here we have to provide the perspective property. Here is the perspective 500 pixels. And now let's check it. It is not clear because we have to provide another property, that is rotate. Then it's show the effect clearly. Here is the y 45 degree. So now let's check its effect. Here we have not write the correct spelling. So now this is called the scale because it is changing the size of the div in the z-axis. We have provided the scale property for the z-axis. It increased the size in the z-axis 3 times, and now I'm gonna provide 3D, and here is the first value for the x-axis, second is for the y, then third is for the z. So now here it is, and in this way you can see that x-axis, y-axis and the z-axis size is increasing, and the next property is the rotate y. So the next property is back face visible. So here I want to show you why we are gonna apply the back face visible. Here is the rotate y. So whenever we apply the rotate y, so here the div is moving, but its back face is visible when it is moving. But if we want to hide its back face, we have to provide the back face visibility. Here we have to write hidden. So now let's check it, and here you can see that its back face is hidden when it is moving. So you can also apply the visible, so it will be visible. So in this way you can use the 2D and 3D transform, and in my next lecture I'm going to teach you the animations. What is the animation? Let's see in the next lecture.